All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Metz, and I'm here with a colleague and friend of mine who I have known for many years, Tony Rinaldi, who is the trombonist with the band Iration, among other things, which we will get to because Tony's involved with lots and lots of projects. Hi, Tony. How's it going?
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me on here. It's going great. It's good to be home after a long tour.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you that. So you're now got a week or so off from the band Iration, and then you're going back on tour, or are you just going back to play a couple of gigs or what next week?
So this weekend it's just one gig on Sunday. We play a Reggae Rise Up, and it's just a fly date. So I fly out Saturday and then fly back home on Monday, and we don't really have anything until December.
Nice. So you get a break. What, you've been on tour for the last 4 months or 3 months?
Feels like 4 months. It's been 2 months.
Oh, 2 months. Okay.
Yep.
That's a
Eight
lot
and
of
a
work,
half
though.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a lot of work going on the road. I mean,
It is.
I've never done it. I've never been on the road like that, where it's gig after gig after gig after gig. I guess it can get awfully tiring.
It can get exhausting for sure. But we do have our crews which do most of the heavy lifting. So for us, it's pretty much just show up and play.
Yeah, still, but you got to put yourself out on the stage every night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean that, when the set's up there, it's time to go hard.
Right. So I asked Tony on for an interview because he's got an interesting kind of story, and I thought I'd bring it to everyone's attention. So now, Tony, you moved to California to pursue a degree in trombone performance, right?
Correct.
Which school was that?
I went to the California Institute of the Arts, Cal Arts for short. It's a little private conservatory for like new arts, new music, acting, dancing, pretty much all inclusive, all around the arts.
Okay. And how long ago was that? You graduated when?
I graduated in the fall. It was December of 2011. Because then I was on tour 2012. That's right.
Okay. All right. So you've been out of school 10 years and you stayed in California and you were a working musician in the LA area. What was that like? I bet that was kind of a kill. How do I put this? A dog eat dog type of situation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's always the competition, the dog eat dog, like trying to get the best gig and moving up, But I mean, there is a lot of inclusivity with the trombonists out here, or out in LA, I should say. It gets to a point where you start playing so much, a lot of the other trombone players will fall off, and then there's only like a core group of trombone players or trumpet players, and I have about 3 or 4 in LA trombone players that we've always just bounced gigs around each other. So once you grind it out for the first few years and do the hard gigs, you finally can kind of progress a little bit more and get the better gigs, and then the circle becomes smaller and smaller as you get to the top. So.
Okay. So a friend of mine mentioned to me, and he actually, it's long story short, he was in California for the longest time, and now he moved away from California. And he said, you've made it when you're working in California, but you're not living in California. So now you're here in New Mexico. And what prompted that move to come out to New Mexico, besides it being home?
Well, there's a few factors involved. LA was getting a little crazy, like pricing wise. And then me and my wife had a few health issues, not really issues, but things that weren't getting the attention that she really needed out in LA just because of the amount of people out there. So we decided to make a move back to Albuquerque. She's never been here before. For me, it's going back home.
Right.
So she could get the attention she needed for her health stuff. And I was just kind of over living in LA. It was tiring. And, I came out here and continued to work in LA, and was commuted like twice a month for all the way until COVID destroyed the music scene. And yeah, it was good. It was really good, man. We moved out here to kind of like get away from it all, and Albuquerque's a slow pace of life and a lot cheaper than LA, and everything just kind of worked out.
Nice. So we talked earlier about the fact that you're on tour with Iration, and so how did I'm curious, how did that ever come about? How do you get, I mean, I know you play a lot of ska and you do play a lot of reggae and you're very, very good at it. So how did you get hooked up with Iration? I mean, did they find you? Did you find them, or was it all by accident?
Well, nothing's really by accident with the gigs that you get in LA. Longtime freelancer once told me, if you can stick it out for 10 years in LA, you will get to the point after that where your art will create the money that you need to live, you know. And like I said, once you gig around, like more and more people fall off, the circle becomes smaller. So I've been gigging in LA for like 5 or 6 years, and I had my first call trumpet player, Drake. You know, if I need a horn section, I'd always call him first. And he got hooked up through Iration through a personal acquaintance and just went and saw them and then put the bug in their ear about a horn section. And then they called him back like a year later. And then he worked with them for about 1.5 years, recorded an album, and then put the bug in there that, hey, we should get a horn section. And then after much prodding, 1.5 years later, me and a sax player came in. And then after much trials and tribulations and seeing how it goes, the horn section, I was the one who stuck it out. And here I am 3.5 years later.
Nice. So for people who aren't familiar with Iration, and I'll put a link down in the comments down below, but for people who aren't familiar with Iration, what type of music, what would you call the music? What would you, if you were to say, well, here's the music that Iration plays, what would you call it?
California reggae. Sunshine reggae is the diplomatic term, but
so, I never heard that one.
Well, it's better than saying white boy reggae.
Okay, well, I've heard that one before.
Same difference.
Okay.
It's a little more politically correct.
Sunshine reggae. I'm sorry, no, that one got me. I like that. I'll start using that one because I've described it with people, you know, they say, what kind of reggae? Well, it's not what I used to. When you say reggae, everyone thinks
not Bob Marley.
Right?
No,
and I'm like, so I'll say California reggae, and so they're usually pretty good with that. But I like that sunshine reggae. So
that's a diplomatic term.
Yeah. So you guys just got off a tour, and you guys have toured. Literally, you guys were all over the U.S. I saw all the Instagram posts.
39 stops.
Wow. So you guys were both a headliner and you were opening for bands like 311. So how cool is that to open up for a major, I'm not saying that you guys aren't a headliner, because I've seen Iration before and I've listened to the music, but to open up for like a band like 311, what's that like? That must have been pretty cool.
It was like kind of surreal. You know, you grow up listening to a band and then all of a sudden you're like sharing the same stage and eating lunch at the same tables in the cater. It was a little surreal, and it's just kind of, it's crazy to me to think about, like, coming from where I was a kid listening to them, to like now we're opening for them.
I bet that
is a little mind-boggling.
Yeah, I bet that was absolutely awesome. So now the tours, on the tour that you guys just came off of, so how many times, were you about split even? You didn't open for them the whole tour. You were a headliner yourself, right?
Oh, no. So we never had the tour. We were always opening. We'd always played. We were the direct support. So we played right before they did.
Oh, and that for the whole tour?
For the whole tour, yeah.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I thought you guys were also headliners on a couple of shows. Still, that doesn't mean, the attention that you guys get, that's 311's one hell of a draw, and I bet you guys got your fair share of applause, and you got your energy from the audience because they were there. They, it's cool to look out on stage and see that kind of energy.
Oh yeah. As a musician on stage, I thrive off of that energy. When the audience, I can play my horn and I see someone visibly smile back at me and like start dancing. Like that's what it's all about, man. And it was a lot of 311 supporters out there, but we did have like our crowd that showed up, and they were always super supportive. And the Irators are always awesome and show up in force and come out and party hard. So
nice.
It was a good time with their crowd, and then with our crowd, there was some like crazy sold out shows. It was fun.
Nice. So let's get a little personal here. You have, let's see, how old is Finn now? You have a son, and he's how old
15
now?
months, almost 16 months.
All right. So you're talking, you know, a year, almost a year and a half now. What is it like being a family man on tour? I mean, I bet that's kind of tough.
It's super difficult. You know, I've never done that before. So it's kind of, there's definitely a learning curve there. Trying to be present in my wife's life without actually physically being there, and you know, finding babysitters. You know, and she started occupational therapy at the School of Medicine at UNM, like literally two days after I left for tour. So
Right.
she was fully in it, and it was, I don't know, it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. It was really,
Yeah.
really hard.
And it's not like, I mean, it's not like you could bring the whole family on tour because, as you said, Marcy was starting school. She was
Mhm.
working on her own career as and so, yeah, it makes it really, really difficult. That's something that I couldn't even imagine, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
as an air traffic controller, I got sent different places. And I remember, you know, having to get on the airplane and leave my wife with the boys, and it'd be like, I'm only gone for a week. I couldn't be imagined being gone for 2 months. You know, that would be
Yeah,
really tough.
it was, I mean, you know, even in my career, that was the longest continual stretch of touring that I've done. You know, I've done like 5 weeks and then 7 weeks with a break in the middle, but I've never done straight through 8 weeks. And so it was definitely, you know, for both for Marcy and I, because she, you know, when she met me, I was a touring musician, so she knew what she was getting into. But you know, this was just completely different. All the dynamic of our relationship, and then the dynamic of me with my music relationship. Everything's different now, you know.
Well, yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to be a musician. It's hard to be a touring musician, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is. It's not something that I mean, I guess now that I'm older and I'm retired, I could probably get away with it. But yeah, as your age, no.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of comforts that you of home that you just don't get, you know.
Right,
And a lot of privacy. There's, you know, it can be really, it's not for everyone being on the road like that. That's for
right.
sure.
So
Uh,
when you're on tour, so you guys are you obviously you're sharing a bus with how many people?
so you with I'm with the band, so there's only about 8 of us on the bus total. And so it's not too crowded, but I know that, like, you know, I've been on buses where there's been 12 people full. You know, there's 12 bunks, you cram everyone in there, and
Oh, so
it's tight, man. It's real tight, let me tell
oh,
you.
thank you. Yeah, bring, you know, dress light, bring as light as, you know, bring only the essentials and go from there.
Yep,
Yeah, no
exactly,
thanks.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Um, I don't know. I spent 3 months touring Europe once, a long, long, long time ago. And I
Hmm.
remember those gigs. Play at night, tear everything down, get to the hotel, get up in the morning, go to your next gig, play the night, tear everything down. I mean, yeah, it was not easy.
No.
And it's not fun. And I don't know, like I said, I appreciate the fact that you guys do it. I just don't know if I could how I'd be able to handle it. Plus, I'm older, I'm set in my ways.
Hey, you know what? I understand. Comforts of home are important. You know,
Yeah.
having your own porcelain is really nice.
Yes. So you specialize in ska and reggae, and as you said, sunshine reggae, right? Is that what you call it?
That's the scene that I'm involved in right now. I went, you know, that's the kind of the scene I grew up with too. You know, I'd say I wouldn't say I specialize specifically in it. I've gotten really good because of my experience in the scene, but
Hmm.
you know, I consider myself a very well-rounded freelancer. You know, I can do jazz, classical, new music. It's part of the, you know, part of the program that I went to, is to be able to be a musician that can play, you know, in
Everything.
any situation. Yeah.
So what else? Who else have you? I mean, I guess name drop for me. Who else have you recorded for anybody else that we would recognize? I mean, I know I did some work with you a couple of weeks ago before you, or actually a couple months ago, before you went out on tour, and you had me do some horn work with you. Anybody else that you're working with? Anybody else that you're recording with nowadays?
I got some lower tier reggae bands that I've been working with: Pacific Roots, Hijinks, The Rhythms, and they've been very kind to me, and a bunch of other smaller projects that I've just kind of recorded a trombone part here and there for. The horns are in high demand these days, and there's not a lot of good ones out there. So especially during the pandemic, that was all that we could really do was record. There's no live performance. So
Right.
I got really good with my technique. I, built my own studio, and then probably put out like 40 to 50 projects last year, recording projects. And yeah, it's a different, COVID was tough because of that, but you adapt and you learn. And I feel like I became a better recording musician, both on the side of the mic where you're playing, and on the other side of the mic where you're engineering.
Right.
So
yeah, that's something that I have learned the hard way, that when you start to do all these things and you start to record, it's more than just playing. You have to become your own engineer. You have to become your own video engineer, your own audio engineer. There's a lot of work to it. There was a lot of skill sets that I did not have that I'm starting to pick up really, really quick. And you helped. You helped me quite a bit.
Necessity, necessity calls for it. You got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do they call it? Necessity is the mother of all inventions. Sometimes you have to figure it out. So when you go on tour, I know you don't bring your super expensive trombone. What trombone are you playing on when you're on tour with Iration? Do you just play on a little teeny pea shooter or what?
No, I do play on my pea shooter. It is a nice horn though. It's the horn I grew up playing. It's the one that my dad grew up playing, and he passed down to me. Just a little pea shooter, a little tenor trombone, no F attachment. So you can get that like really punchy, brassy sound. Yeah, it's just your basic tenor trombone. It's a King before the 2B and 3B lines separated. One of the original ones made in the Cleveland factory, and it's an amazing horn and sounds awesome. And that's my go-to. That's my baby. That's my moneymaker.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the one you take on tour. What's the other horn? I thought you have a really, really nice F attachment horn, a mid tenor, right? Which one is that? I know you don't take it on tour, but what is it?
That's so I have a Shire's classical. It's a classical horn with an F attachment. That's like my dream classical horn, and that's where I work on all my foundational stuff, my fundamentals, my it's the one I practice on. That's my baby. And then it's just a little hard to travel because it is a little bit larger.
Well, of course it's a little bit larger.
Yeah, some of the planes, like you got a soft case, and my small trombone, my pea shooter will fit up top on the small puddle jumpers, but I know that my big one won't. So
oh, you don't want to put that in the belly of a plane. Never.
I will not put my horn in the plane.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't work that way. I get it. I've been there, done that. Traveled with my horn. I understand completely.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. No, thank you. So, all right. So what now? Where are you going from here? What are you doing now? What's the plan for the next few months? I know you said you had something going on in December, and aren't you heading to like Mexico sometime soon? Is that in December?
Yep, that's in December. So we're doing the Closer to the Sun Festival down in Mexico City in December. And then after that, we're going to go do a few dates in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Take me with you.
I know, right? So I'm excited because that'll be a nice end to the year. Get to travel a little bit, and then I'll be home in time for Christmas, have a little bit of money, and play some music for the end of the year. And other than that, right now I'm just kind of at home. I got some personal projects that I'm writing some music for, and I got some friends that I'm working on some horn parts for, just recorded. And that's about it right now. Just kind of put my feet up after that crazy tour.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank Tony Rinaldi for his time and for putting out some great music. I appreciate all of that. Thank you all for watching. And we will get back we'll give Tony his time back, and we will talk to him extremely soon. Thank you all for watching.